minute attention to it. Foot region has great practical meaning. By the way, this practical meaning generally connected with three branches of the medicine. Branch number one, it is traumatology. Really, from traumatical point of the view, this is one of the most damaged part of the human body. You do your physical activities, your movements by foot region. Of course, the traumatization of the foot in sport, in some professional activities, during the car accidents. So it is huge. So first importance of this region and the main importance of this region belong to the field of the traumatological investigations. Second field of investigation and second importance of the region connected with some chronic disorders, primary connected with the vascular disorders. Because as you understand from the point of the view of gravity, this is the most hard drainage part of the human body. Liquids from the foot region not so simply drain into the vascular and into the lymphatic systems, so we can have here accumulation of the liquids and formation of swellings, for example, or any other chronic disorders connected with the mentioned structures. Point number three, which is making this region, I mentioned only the most important fields. Of course, you understand that there are the smallest fields, yeah? But I speak about the most important. It is the branch of the medicine which is called the orthopedics. Now, orthopedical problems connected mainly with inherited malformation of the extremities, which has made the walking process complicated or impossible, and which we must do correct it usually by plastic or some surgical manipulations, yeah, or by using special prosthesing, special shoes, which is make the correction of some abnormalities of the foot region, abnormalities of soft tissues, abnormalities with bones, different kind of abnormalities. That's it. Once again, three main fields of medical researches we will make here: traumatological, orthopedical, and mainly from the point of the view of chronic disorders. According to this, of course, we must perfectly know the topographical anatomy of this region. As usually, let's start from the borders. As you remember, borders of the foot region, it is belong to same borders of ankle joint. Yeah? Inferior border of ankle joint, it is circular line from the tips of the both malleoli. It is single border of the foot. Foot doesn't have any other border, only upper. And then you provided two imaginary lines along the medial and along the lateral margins. Medially, you come to the first finger, laterally to the fifth finger. You divided foot region into the dorsal or anterior surface and into the plantar or the posterior surface. Now let's start from the dorsal foot. Skin of the region is one of the most elastic and movable skins of the human body. By the way, it's thin. From the point of the view of gland and hairs, for the male's mid part has the hair coverage and sweat sebaceous glands. There's all kinds of inflammations we can see in this region. Fatty tissue is very loose, but in the same time, fatty tissue doesn't have pocket or structure, no any septus inside of the fat. That is the cause of accumulation of the liquids inside of the fatty tissue of this region. The big liquid accumulations we can have due to, as I said 2 minutes before, problems of the drainage of this region. Chronic cardiovascular disorders, chronic kidney disorders, chronic lymphatic disorders will give formation of, for example, elephantism, yeah? Will give formation of the huge swellings in this region. So big swellings that you will lose the contour of malleolus. They will be invisible. If normally you look to your extremity, from both sides you see two bony protrusions. But if there are accumulation of the liquid in this region, sorry, you don't see any normal contour of the extremity. Just only huge, big liquid accumulation. Inside of the fatty tissue we have vessels and nerves. In this picture you can see the venous network. This is dorsal venous network, and that is venous network which is give the origin of biggest superficial veins. If you will look attentively in the border between metatarsal and finger region, you will see the venous arch of the dorsum of the foot. And from venous arch, two veins is originated, laterally saphenum parva, medially saphenum magna. By the way, even in this picture is shown direction of them. Magna immediately goes to up by anterior surface, parva is disappear in the level of the malleoli. Why? Because it goes to back. As you remember, in ankle joint region, it's located in lateral region, but then in leg region, it's located immediately in posterior region. So remember it, please. This is two, let's say, both these superficial veins originated here, in the dorsum of the foot. Under the venous network, you can see yellow structures. And if you will look attentively, you will see three groups of yellow structures. One in medial side, so-called nervus saphenus. One in the lateral side, so-called nervus suralis. As you remember, nervus suralis pass with parva, nervus saphenus pass with magna veins. And between them, one more nerve, which is split into three branchings, peroneus superficialis. I want to remind you that in leg region, it is mixed nerve. It is upper middle third supply the muscles, peroneus longus and brevis. Lower third become to the skin. But in foot region, it is totally sensory nerve. It doesn't have any motor function. It is innervated skin together with two other nerves, which I mentioned before. So here we have exact localization with exact function. Medial surface, it is field of the saphenus. Lateral surface, it is field of suralis. All another skin, which you see, together with the fingers, it is peroneus superficialis. That's I remember about it, and let's continue. Superficial fascia, no any specificity. Proper fascia cover the tendons of the long muscles, extensor muscles, which is come to your fingers, and also cover the neurovascular structures, which is located deep to these tendons. Which tendons I mean? I want to remind you that three groups of the tendons we describe here. Medially it is tibialis anterior, laterally it is extensor digitorum longus, between them it is extensor hallucis longus. Except these mentioned tendons, you can write or remember how you want. There are two short muscles, right please, in the dorsum of the foot under the proper fascia. We have extensor hallucis brevis, and we have extensor digitorum brevis. It's very logical, yeah? If there are longus, should be in brevis also, yeah? That's a long muscles located in leg region, and tendons of long muscles from ankle joint become to the dorsum. Short muscles located under the tendons of long muscles. By the way, for example, in the picture, you can see cutted, partly removed, extensor digitorum brevis, little bit medially to it, located extensor hallucis brevis muscles. Let's say in your, once again, remember please, in your dorsal foot region, there are two short muscles. Short extensor of fingers, short extensor of the first finger. Remember it, please. Now, between, minute attention, look to me, between short extensor of the fingers and short extensor of the first finger, we have neurovascular bundle of the dorsum of the foot. Neurovascular bundle of dorsal foot contains dorsal pedis artery vein and nervus peroneus profundus. Yesterday, then I introduced previous week, then I introduced for you the ankle joint region. We say everything about it. I want to remind you origin from anterior tibial. I want to remind you projection. You remember midpoint of distance between malleoluses to the first interdigital space. And now let's speak about branchings. In the dorsal foot, by the way, it is single artery which is supply all dorsal foot region. And not only. It gives the deep plantar branch, which goes to the plantar surface, and that is one of the main vessels, by the way, in the plantar surface also. Little after I will show it for you. But before this, let's describe the branches of the dorsal pedis artery. As you can see, in the level of the proximal epiphysis of the metatarsal bones, it gives the biggest its branch, which we call the arcuate artery. Arcuate artery pass from up to down, from medially to laterally, and from arcuate artery you can see dorsal metatarsal branches is originated. Otherwise we call it dorsal common digital branches. That's a, you are free to call it how you want, dorsal metatarsal or dorsal common digital. As you can see, three dorsal common digital arteries originated from arcuate immediately into second, third, and fourth interdigital spaces. In the tip of this interdigital space, each common digital artery, split it into two proper. One goes to one side, another goes to another side. Exceptional is first dorsal metatarsal artery, which is immediately continuation of dorsalis pedis. As you can see, it doesn't originate from arcuate artery. It is come immediately from dorsalis pedis. It is continuation of dorsalis pedis. It is the first dorsal metatarsal artery, or first dorsal common digital artery. Call it how you want. There are also two branches. One is come, as you can see, to the medial surface of the first toe. Second is come to the lateral surface of the fifth toe. This is immediately proper digital vessels. So we don't have here common. This is proper. One is supply medial surface of first finger, another supply lateral surface of the fifth. And finally, you can see in the picture that in dorsal foot, any finger has two arteries, one in the medial, second in the lateral surface. I think it's not hard. Same is happen with nervus peroneus profundus. It's also divided into the dorsal metatarsal, or we can call it common digital nerves. Each common digital nerve split it into proper digital nerves. Again, exception, medial surface of first toe, lateral surface of fifth. They immediately achieve the proper digital branches from nervus peroneus profundus. And together with the corresponding arteries, nerves form the neurovascular bundles. Let's say from dorsal foot region, each your finger has two neurovascular bundles, one in the medial side, second in the lateral side. I think it is not so hard. Final branch, located immediately in the tip of the first interdigital space, it is so-called deep plantar artery. Deep plantar artery perforated interosseal muscles. It goes to the plantar surface of the foot, you can see it here. And it is fused with the lateral plantar artery. Together they forms the, 1 minute attention to me, arch of the plantar surface. Now, minute before we speak about arterial arch of dorsal. Now you see arterial arch of plantar. It forms, again I say, by junction of two arteries, deep plantar branch of dorsalis pedis and lateral plantar artery. By the way, lateral plantar artery is twice thicker than medial one. And it is the main artery which is formed this arch. From this arch also, you can see common digital arteries is origin, but now it's plantar common digital, or plantar metatarsal, call it how you want. Now each plantar metatarsal, as you can see, divided into two proper. Exception, it is again the medial surface of the fifth. You can see it is supplied immediately by medial plantar artery. And it is lateral surface of fifth, which is achieved separate branch from lateral plantar one. No, I think guys, it's not so hard. That's why you have two arterial arches, one in dorsal, second in plantar surface. Dorsal forms only by dorsalis pedis. Plantar forms by junction of two arteries, deep plantar branch of dorsalis pedis and lateral plantar artery. And what about innervation of the plantar surface? As you remember, two nerves we have here, medial plantar and lateral. Both is originated from nervus tibialis. Yeah? Last lesson I spoke also about canalis malleolaris, and inside of this canalis malleolaris we divided posterior tibial artery and nervus tibialis into two terminal branches. This both nerves is mixed. I mean medial and lateral plantar. They give some skin branches and the deep motor branches, which is innervated muscles. About muscles I will speak a little after. Skin is innervated in arrangement 3.5 in lateral, 1.5 in medial 7. Sorry, vice versa, 3.5 in medial, 1.5 in the lateral 7. It means 3.5 your fingers innervated by medial plantar nerve, 1.5 lateral your fingers, skin I mean, yeah, now I speak about skin, innervated by the lateral plantar. So remember please, if dorsal skin innervated by three nerves, as I say you, medially, nervus saphenus, laterally nervus suralis, between them peroneus superficialis. In the plantar surface, we have only two nerves. It is medial plantar, which is innervated 3½ fingers, and it is lateral plantar, which is innervated 1½ finger. By the way, these both nerves have muscular branches, and muscular branches come to the short muscles, which is located in your plantum. These short muscles we have not only in dorsum, much more short muscles we have in the plantar surface, about which I will speak a little after. Do you have any questions about dorsal foot region? I think it's also, understandable. Let's come to the plantar region. Thickest skin of human body, located immediately here. Skin is not movable. Skin is very thick. Skin is elastic. Skin contains a lot of sweat glands, and skin has huge amount of the receptors. Let's say here we have the tactile sensory zone. No any hairs. No any sebaceous glands generally. Subcutaneous fat is greatly developed, but it's not samely developed. Much more developed fat we have in two places. Place number one, it is region of the calcaneus. Place number two, it is basis of the fingers. According to the commissural apertures, which I will describe for you a little after, which is formed in the plantar aponeurosis. That's remember, please, if you will look to your plantum, you will see two protrusions of the skin. One in the sole, second near the base of your fingers. And these protrusions, of course, connected with great developed fat. Subcutaneous fatty tissue contains vessels and nerves. Vessels, it is veins. All these veins drain into the dorsal venous network, which I show for you a little before. As you remember from this network, two big veins is originated, medially saphenum magna, laterally. Fat content and nerve also, which I give you 2 minutes before. It is 3½ nerves, which is originated from the plantaris medialis, 1½ nerves, which is originated from plantaris lateralis. Fat content also the superficial lymphatic nodes, which is collecting the lymph from the skin and fatty tissue of this region. Superficial fascia doesn't have any specificity. Proper fascia is very unique. Attract please your attention into this picture and try to see this triangular shape, wide structure, which you see in the picture. It is plantar aponeurosis. What is it? That is structural unit which is originated by two structure junction. First of all, proper fascia, and second, tendon of musculus plantaris longus. You can write if you don't think that you will remember. Write, please. Proper fascia in the plantar region have the aponeurotical form by the junction with the tendon of musculus plantaris longus. Right, please. This aponeurosis has triangular shape form. Tip it is directed to calcaneus. Base is directed to the fingers. Right, and look in the picture. Well, really, you can see triangle. Bases look distally, tip is look proximal. Proximal is calcaneus, distal is our fingers. Now, 1 minute, look everybody here. You can see that it has some, we can say, some group of fibers. By the way, fibers primary is longitudinal. Longitudinal fibers near the midpoint of the metatarsal region divided into 5 bites, which is go to the 5 fingers. But in the level of the distal end of the metatarsal bones, we have also transverse fibers, which is fused with the longitudinal fibers and which forms the commissural apertures. Commissural apertures, usually 4, they are located in base of the fingers, and they make communication between subcutaneous fatty tissue and deep loose connective tissue, which is located under of the plantar aponeurosis. By these apertures from deep loose connective tissue, neurovascular bundles become too fat and continues to the plantar surface of the fingers. Is it understandable for you? Repeat, please, what I tell you now.
No, sir, I didn't understand.
Huh?
I didn't understand. Can you repeat it?
Friend,
No, sir.
I don't know for what you do it.
No, sir, see.
Friend, I say, do you understand? You say yes.
No, I understand.
No, sorry. When you ask me question, before I ask you or after I ask you?
No, sir, I understand.
Sorry, once again I ask my question. When you ask me your question, before I ask you or after I ask you? Really?
No, after. I want to explain also.
You are completely ununderstandable person, friend.
No, sir, I understand.
You are completely ununderstandable person. Continue in this way, I promise for you very big journeys during your exams. Continue just in that way.
No, sir, I understand.
That's it, friend. If you want to understand, just use your gray matter during the lesson. Use your gray matter, friend. You know, you have the special substance in your brain. Don't sleep in the time of the class. Believe me, after my lesson, you will have a lot of time to sleep. A lot. Go to the street, sit down under the sun, and comfortably sleep, please. But not here. I don't understand. Of course, how you will understand? How this table will understand now? Your table now is located in, I'm very sorry, because you sleep in my class. If I will ask you now generally which region I explain, you also will say, I don't know, sir. Can you explain again? And you appreciated it, you know. By your face, half of year I spoke about it with you, and I don't see any emotion, you know. It is same to speak with the walls. Absolutely. And then I start to make the controls on the exams. You just switch your ways and speak about anything which doesn't anyhow corresponding with my subject. You think that your teacher also sleep during the class and will accept it, your voice. Something strange, absolutely strange. I'm very sorry, friend. I like you very much. But I don't appreciate it, your level like the student. I can appreciate it, you like the person, but not like the student. That is completely impossible. During half of year, I don't listen any correct your answer into my questions. Anyone. And then I just imagine how sad will be your parents if they will see how you study in university. Of course, I will repeat it. Proper fissure in the plantar region has aponeurotical structure because it fused with tendon of plantaris longus. And this aponeuros has two types of fibers. It is longitudinal fibers, which is divided into the 5 bands and goes to the fingers. And it is transverse fibers, which near the base of the fingers fuse with the longitudinal and forms the commissural apertures. These commissural apertures, it is gates, connections between subcutaneous fatty tissue and deep loose connective tissue, which is located under this proper fissure. Now, right to remember, please, from plantar aponeuros, 2 septas is originated, which goes to the metatarsal bones and partly to tarsal bones, fuse with them, and divide this deep space into 3 compartments. Open the brackets and write, please. Medial septa. Fuse with the lateral surface of the first metatarsal bone. A lateral septa fused with the medial surface of 5th one to the navicular and to the calcaneus. Now, I think it's not a big puzzle for you that 2 septas, which goes to deep, will divide it, hold this deep space into 3 compartments. My 2 hands now divided the space into 3 compartments: medial, middle, and lateral. Let's write, please, 3 oscillatory compartments originating under the proper fascia. First one we call medial oscillatory compartment, otherwise compartment of the first third. Open the brackets and write, please. It contains short muscles of the first finger, abductor hallucis, flexor hallucis brevis muscles, and tendon of flexor hallucis longus. Tendon of the long flexor, short flexor, and abductor muscles. Once again, guys, I think it's not hard that inside of this compartment, primary we have short muscles, which is 2, and secondary we have tendon of long muscle. As you remember, this long muscle become from posterior leg region, yeah? It's located in deep compartment of posterior leg. All right, please. Lateral oscillatory compartment, otherwise we call it compartment of 5th finger. It contains short muscles of the 5th finger. Right, please, abductor digiti minimi, flexor digiti minimi, and finally last middle compartment contains flexor digitorum brevis, quadratus plantaris muscle, and of course the tendons of the long flexor of the fingers. Also inside of this compartment we have interossal and lumbricated muscles, yeah, between the fingers. Lumbricalis interossals. Now 1 minute attention. We understand 3 osteofacial compartments with corresponding muscles, which is between them. Where is neurovascular bundles? Minute attention to me. Here there are big exceptions. As you remember, generally when I spoke about osteofacial species and the interfacial, I told you that the interfacial species we have only with region with single bones. Yeah? Here there are exceptions. You remember 2 minutes before I spoke about septus, which is originated from proper fascia. This septus, guys, split it into 2 ways. And this septus contained interfacial spaces with neurovascular bundles. Let's say inside of splitted medial septa, we will have medial plantar neurovascular bundle. Inside of splitted lateral septa, we'll have lateral plantar neurovascular bundle. I think it is not so hard. So once again, write and remember, inside of mentioned splitted septas, medial and lateral, we have consequently 2 neurovascular bundles, yeah? Medial in medial, lateral in lateral. Elements, you know, I described it last time. Just remember, please, the syncope. As you remember, from sides, we have the nerves. Between, we have vessels. That's it. For medial nerve is more medial, for lateral nerve is lateral. So remember about it. And attract your attention into the picture. If it is understandable, all another problems is very simple. We must understand the innervation and supplement of deep structures. Primary, guys, let's start from the innervation of muscles. I think here everything is simple. Medial nerve will supply the first finger muscles. Lateral nerve will supply 5th, and also will give the branches both together into the middle one. That's a medial supply first finger short muscles, lateral supply 5th finger short muscle. Together they give the branches into the middle one. This is understandable for you. Thank you very much. Now about arterial arch. Immediately in deep loose connective tissue space, between the tendons of the long and short muscles, we have arterial arch of the plantar surface. How it forms, I told you before. Plantaris lateralis become to medial and pass from up to down and from the lateral to the medial side. In the level of first interdigital space, it is fused with deep plantar branch of dorsalis pedis. Together they form the plantar arch. Plantar arch gives the plantar metatarsal branches, which is divided into the proper digital plantar branches. Exception, it is the medial surface of the first, lateral surface of the fifth. Medial surface immediately supplied by medial plantar artery. Lateral surface, it is separated branch from the lateral plantar artery. That's all. These vessels and nerves by commissural apertures come to the fatty tissue from deep loose connective tissue. From fatty tissue, they goes to the plantar surface of the fingers. Finally, your fingers have 4 neurovascular bundles, 2 in dorsal, 2 in plantar surface. Friends, I don't know how more understandable to explain. I give you on-top anatomy, I review with you normal anatomy. Say, I do my best. Who can? Let's do it better. I cannot. Do you have any questions? No. Write the name of